How often do we question the validity of scientific theories? Here's food for thought. The science we accept today could potentially be regarded as pseudoscience in the future. History provides us with numerous examples, one being the transition of phrenology from a revolutionary field to dismissed pseudoscience. This is the narrative of phrenology, a complex tale interwoven with shifting perceptions and societal impacts. Phrenology, in the early 19th century, was a product of the intellect of a Viennese physician, Franz Joseph Gall. Gall proposed that the brain, considered the organ of the mind, had its shape and contours visible through the skull, which could potentially reveal a person's character and mental abilities. Thus, phrenology was conceived. The concept was straightforward but intriguing. Gall proposed the brain was compartmentalized into 27 distinct organs or faculties, each responsible for traits such as wit, destructive or benevolence. An organ of greater size signified a more predominant trait. Phrenologists would palpate a person's skull, observing the bumps and indentations. From these physical characteristics, they claimed to discern the individual's strengths, weaknesses, and tendencies. Recent studies show that phrenology's popularity was not just limited to the scientific community. Gall's disciple, Johann Spurzheim, carried the phrenology torch across Europe and America, igniting a widespread interest. Societies dedicated to phrenology emerged. Phrenological fairs became popular attractions, drawing substantial audiences, and even Queen went as far as having her children's heads read by phrenologists. Furthermore, recent research reveals that phrenology had a profound social impact, influencing fields like psychology, education, and criminology in the 19th century. Phrenology was not just a scientific theory. It evolved into a social movement, impacting societal norms and beliefs. Despite being rejected by modern science, the historical significance and societal influence of phrenology remain a fascinating chapter in the history of science. However, hidden within this superficial success, a sinister side of phrenology unfolded. The science was manipulated as a tool to justify biases and magnify societal disparities. It was wielded as a weapon to argue for racial superiority, with Caucasians allegedly possessing more civilized skull shapes. Further, it was distorted to promote ethnic hierarchies, with certain ethnic groups being branded as inferior based on their skull shapes. It was exploited to validate class distinctions, making claims that the affluent class had superior acquisitiveness. Phrenology was also misused to bolster gender roles, asserting that women had larger love of children organs and smaller intellectual faculties. The science was employed to perpetuate ageism. Older people had more developed organ of cautiousness. These flawed theories, cloaked under the guise of science, had far-reaching and devastating societal implications. As the 19th century progressed, the scientific community's scrutiny of phrenology intensified. Critics, many of them from quite eminent scientific circles, derided the lack of empirical evidence supporting the claims made by Franz Joseph Gall, the founder of phrenology. They argued that Gall's theory was based on conjecture rather than hard scientific facts. They pointed out the intricate complexity of the brain, a versatile organ that couldn't be neatly compartmentalized into distinct faculties as Gall had proposed. Moreover, they brought attention to the fact that the functions of the brain are not localized to specific areas, but rather distributed across various regions. The idea that skull shape and size could accurately predict a person's personality traits and mental abilities was fundamentally flawed, they argued. This, they said, was a gross oversimplification of the intricacies of human cognition and behavior. They implied that such a notion not only unscientific, but dangerously misleading. By the time the 20th century dawned, phrenology had lost its luster. The scientific community labeled it a pseudoscience, discarding it as a relic of a less enlightened era. The once popular discipline had succumbed to an onslaught of scientific criticism, leaving it to languish in the annals of discarded theories. What can we extract from the historical trajectory of phrenology? It not only provides us with a cautionary tale about the perils unchecked pseudoscience, but also teaches us valuable lessons on multiple fronts. It emphasizes the absolute necessity of having a rigorous scientific approach, the importance of empirical evidence in substantiating theories, and the potential pitfalls of confirmation bias. It urges us to be vigilant against the possible misuse of science to propagate prejudices and uphold social inequalities. From a larger perspective, it serves as a gentle of the imperfections of science. It asserts that our knowledge and understanding of the world is in a state of uninterrupted evolution. The facts we hold as irrefutable today may be disproven tomorrow. As we navigate through the annals of scientific progress, we must remember to learn from the mistakes of the past. Phrenology, which was considered a legitimate scientific discipline once upon a time, now stands as a stark reminder of how a seemingly promising avenue of research can lead us astray. The rise and fall of phrenology tells us that we should never blindly any scientific theory without questioning its premises, testing its predictions, and evaluating its implications. It also teaches us the importance of always treating our subjects with dignity and respect, regardless of the results of our investigations. It reminds us that science is a tool for understanding, not for judging or controlling individuals. It warns us of the potential for harm when science is used without ethical considerations. So, the next time you encounter a scientific theory, in a journal, a lecture, or a casual conversation, remember to probe deeper. Could this be the next phrenology? The lessons from phrenology's rise and fall should guide us in our pursuit of knowledge and truth. Even though phrenology has been largely discredited, it isn't entirely devoid of influence on modern science. In fact, it had a significant impact on the development of fields like psychology and neuroscience. Phrenology's idea that the brain is the organ of the mind set the stage for the birth of neuroscience. It was one of the first theories to propose that different regions of the brain are responsible for different functions, a concept that is now fundamental to our understanding of the human brain. While phrenologists got the specifics wrong, their general idea was on the right track. In psychology, phrenology's influence was a bit more indirect. The phrenological focus on individual differences and personality traits paved the way for the establishment of differential psychology. It also led to the development of psychometrics, the science of measuring mental capacities and processes. Phrenology also contributed to the medical field. It was amongst the first to use an empirical approach, albeit flawed, in understanding brain function. This approach laid the foundation for modern neurological examinations and brain imaging techniques. But let's not forget the legacy of phrenology isn't entirely positive. It was used to justify social and racial hierarchies, and its emphasis on inborn capacities over environmental influences led to harmful practices and policies. So while phrenology has been relegated to the annals of pseudoscience, its influence lingers on in the scientific world. It serves both as a stepping stone and a stumbling block in our journey towards understanding the human mind. It's crucial to acknowledge this mixed legacy as we strive to move forward in our quest for knowledge. Phrenology, despite its controversial history, has found its way into various forms of popular culture. In literature, it's often used as a device to explore themes of character and destiny. For instance, in Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre, Mr. Rochester uses phrenology to assess Jane's character. Similarly, in Charles Dickens's Dombey and Son, a phrenologist examines a character's skull to predict his future. Phrenology also appears in film and television, often in a humorous or satirical context. In the classic sci-fi film Star Trek, the alien race known as the Ferengi have large lobes, a nod to the phrenological belief that brain size relates to intelligence. In the animated series The Simpsons, there's a joke about a phrenology booth at a fair. Even in the realm of video games, phrenology has made appearances. In the popular game Red Dead Redemption 2, players can find a phrenology poster. These examples highlight how phrenology, despite being debunked, continues to capture our imagination. It's a testament to the enduring intrigue of the human mind and our attempts to understand it. However, as we enjoy these cultural references, it's important to remember the flawed and harmful aspects of phrenology's history. This way, we can appreciate its role in popular culture while remaining critical of its scientific validity. As we delve into the world of phrenology, it's important to remember that it's not just a historical curiosity. Its story serves as a cautionary tale for today's world, where pseudoscientific theories still gain traction. Today, we see many instances of pseudoscience, from astrology to some forms of alternative medicine, that echo the trajectory of phrenology. They often start with observations or hypotheses that seem to make sense. However, like phrenology, they lack rigorous scientific evidence to back up their claims. The story of phrenology reminds us of the importance of scientific skepticism. It reminds us to question and examine the evidence behind claims, especially when they relate to our health or personal characteristics. It also teaches us about the dangers of pseudoscience. In the case of phrenology, it was used to justify harmful beliefs and practices such as racial and gender stereotypes. Today, pseudoscience can also have harmful effects, from spreading misinformation to promoting ineffective or even dangerous treatments. So next time you come across a claim that sounds too good to be true, remember the story of phrenology. Use it as a guide to ask critical questions, seek out reliable evidence, and distinguish science from pseudoscience. As we journey through the history of phrenology and its implications in the modern world, it's essential to address a pivotal aspect that often goes unmentioned: the ethics of science. As we've seen, phrenology was used to justify harmful beliefs and practices, reflecting the dark side of science when it's misused or misrepresented. This brings to light the immense responsibilities scientists bear. In science, as in all fields, ethics play a crucial role. Ethical norms promote the aims of research, such as knowledge, truth, and the avoidance of error. They foster trust in the scientific community, which in turn encourages the sharing of knowledge and collaboration. Furthermore, they help to ensure that researchers can be held accountable. Unethical scientific practices can lead to severe consequences, such as misinformation, harmful treatments, and a breach of trust. For instance, the misuse of phrenology led to the spread of racial and gender stereotypes. In the modern world, unethical practices can range from data fabrication to predatory pseudoscience, which can lead to mistrust in the scientific community and potentially harmful outcomes for the public. So as we draw lessons from the legacy of phrenology, let us also remember the ethical responsibilities that come with scientific exploration. In the end, science is not just about discovering new things, but also about ensuring that these discoveries are used responsibly and for the betterment of humanity. As we navigate the complex world of scientific research and discovery, the lessons we've learned from the rise, misuse, and fall of phrenology offer valuable insights. This controversial chapter in the history of science serves as a stark reminder of the importance of ethical practices and the potential dangers of scientific misrepresentation. But how can these lessons shape the future of science? Phrenology's legacy prompts us to ask critical questions. How can we ensure that our scientific pursuits are guided by ethical responsibility? How can we prevent the misuse of scientific findings for harmful purposes? The answers to these questions lie in fostering a culture of transparency, accountability, and ethical integrity in the scientific community. Firstly, transparency in research methodologies, data, and findings is key. This openness allows for the scientific community to scrutinize and validate findings, reducing the chances of misunderstandings or misrepresentations. Secondly, accountability is crucial. Researchers must be held accountable for their findings and the potential implications of their work. This includes acknowledging and addressing any potential biases that might influence the research. Lastly, a strong sense of ethical responsibility should underpin all scientific endeavors. From the planning stages of research to the dissemination of findings, ethical considerations should be at the forefront. This includes respecting the rights and dignity of any individuals involved in research and ensuring that the pursuit of knowledge does not harm or exploit. While we cannot predict the future of science with certainty, we can ensure that it is steered in the right direction by adhering to these principles. The story of phrenology serves as a cautionary tale, reminding us of the potential consequences when science is misused. As we forge ahead in our quest for knowledge, let's ensure that the lessons learned from phrenology guide us towards a future of science that is ethically sound, transparent, and accountable. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this, please hit that like button and share it with your friends. It really helps the channel grow. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you'll know exactly when a new video is posted. Your support means the world to us, and we're excited to bring you even more great content. Until next time, stay inspired and keep exploring towards a more fulfilling and blissful lifestyle with us. Bless your heart and see you in the next video.